Hello and welcome Transformers fans, my name is David Lees and I'm here today with a video to review issue 1 of Transformers Galaxies, the much advertised and much anticipated parallel series that goes with Transformers Evolve New Era, or just Transformers. This one featuring the Constructicons. I ran a preview of the series recently, so look out for that video. But today I'm going to review issue 1 and here it is. Different artwork than I was expecting from the adverts, but that's fair enough. So here we have the Constructicons on the cover of a comic book, all there, standing, thinking, talking, certainly not doing a great deal, planning maybe. So you already get the tone is set for these Constructicons. They're not your traditional G1 Constructicons. Last time, and I have this, I'm proud to have this, or pleased to have this in my collection. This is the G1 Transformers comic number 61 for the UK from May 1986, featuring the self-same Constructicons. Who is he? Buster Witwicky. What is he? Dead. This is a very different era. I'm not sure it's old or it's new, but it's definitely different. I'll press straight on. Written by Tyler Blazinski, art by Livio Ramondelli, letters by Tom B. Long. This is set on a random planetoid, construction in progress. Hook and Scrap are having a conversation. They're building this tower, rebuilding the city on a planetoid. There it is, a little glowing ball of metal, home. So they're miles away from home, as you can see. They miss it so much, and it's a magnificent jewel. They just need to finish off the job they're on, and they'll be able to return to Cybertron. So that's their aim. They're going around, by the looks of it, from planetoid to planetoid, rebuilding and constructing and doing what they do. So this is the then period, and this is Wheeljack. So Wheeljack overseeing the reconstruction of Iacon. So the writers are paying attention to G1 history. We have here Wheeljack, who was an engineer, scientist kind of character, overseeing the rebuild. So any enthusiasm you have and any delight you have in seeing Wheeljack will be immediately squashed and dampened down by the fact that he's having a conversation with Turgomax. Turgomax, who is in the Bold New Era comics, politician, dictated to Turgomax, sort of ruling around energon rationing, blah blah blah. Very dull, very uninspiring kind of character that she is. But yeah, shifts have been organised, miners and engineers are doing the brunt of the cleanup. Wheeljack says, hey, let's get rebuilding. Turgomax, visionary, apparently. We can rebuild how we want. And here are 6 new, freshly forged characters already wanting to commit themselves wholly to rebuilding, and they are, of course, Bonecrusher, Mixmaster, Longhaul, Scavenger, Hook, and Scrapper. Interesting little design setup here. I have all 6 of them side by side, and then 2 of them, and I believe we're looking at Bonecrusher and Longhaul. Not convinced. Could be Scrapper. The artwork isn't consistent between the top half and the bottom half, but that's incidental. But they all have their own different roles, but they work together as a great team, as we shall see. No spoilers for what happens next. We get this classic new era, bold or otherwise. Wheeljack says you should go from quadrant to quadrant, clean up, and move on to the next place. And Scrapper says, yep, but what about buildings that aren't sound? Should they be done first? And Turgomax says yes. And you get this bizarre narrowing of the eye slits from Wheeljack. It's high tension, folks. It really is. I disagree with you. Well, I disagree with you too. Don't let ego get in the way of doing the job properly. Just trust Scrapper's intuition, even though he's a completely new robot, only just been forged, blah, blah, blah. You're the Turgomax visionary, sorry, you're the visionary Turgomax, but why change now? What we've always approached building on Cybertron, it worked before. Yeah, so there you go, there's the status quo versus the change. It's standard stuff, so it's all pretty much as you'd expect. They go off to the Central Architectural and Design Headquarters and have a discussion about where to rebuild, and it's like I said in my preview, everything I feared. Should we build an office block, or should it be an engineering factory? Should it be a tall tower, or should it be a bridge? We're on to those kind of high-level civil engineering discussions. that completely befits a warrior species or warrior robots like the Transformers. It jumps, the story jumps a lot between then and now and then and now. Wheeljack says back in history that you want to start in Rivets Field, nice place. You jump to the present, so to speak. It was all Wheeljack's fault telling us to go to Rivets Field. They go to Rivets Field, start digging around, come across the only exciting piece of the whole story, this glowing red light that they take back to Tergamax, and it's the Enigma. Of course, the Enigma, I suspected as much, but I didn't want to show up Scrapper here. What is this? It's the Enigma, and if you're a Transformers trading card game person, you'll know the Enigma's enable combination. It's the Enigma combination, found deep buried underground. More on that story later. Imagine combining your forms, minds and bodies into one form. You'll be able to do things faster, blah blah blah. So they discuss it, the six of them get together, and they literally get together. Take the glare off. So we only get this in parts, but you can see the legs form, the shoulders, the arms, the head. They don't give a name to their combined form just yet, but it's so much bigger than themselves. They find that the combination procedure takes a lot of energy on. It's not easy for them to do at will all the time. It's a drain learning to merge their minds together. So we go back to the present. How much easier it would be now if we could rebuild with the Enigma, with us combining. Do you ever wonder if we were fated to dig up that relic? Well, from my perspective, yes you were. But there they are, all working together, experimenting, being observed by Tergamax and Wheeljack. The power's too much, we have down here. But there we are, the combined form. I cannot believe this, as Wheeljack. Constructicons, you need to listen to a singular consciousness and put your individual thoughts aside. Focus on your goal, your purpose. If you don't, then there'll be trouble. I apologise, the glare's really bad tonight. So they're sort of reflecting on it. They find that with a combined purpose and a combined goal, it's easy for them to operate together. But the thing is, as I said, it takes a lot of energy on for them to do this. They do vast amounts of work very quickly. They're able to demolish tall buildings, leap or tall buildings with a single bound. A little bit of backstory gets filled in because, hey, you can't go forwards in a story without going backwards. There was this ancient behemoth combiner in the past, many cycles ago. There was another who just went around Cybertron trashing and bashing everything, left destruction almost comparable to Iacon now in its wake. But it was taken down eventually on Rivets Field, surprise, surprise, which is where the Enigma was left, stored, buried, depending on your point of view. But yeah, they learn to work together. We have a transformation, it's off page, but nevertheless, Wheeljack and Tergamax transform to their vehicle modes, and they start commenting about how it should go. The Constructicons, so Tergamax, chose to create, to build and rebuild, not to destroy. As long as they remain on that purpose, the combined form should take on the characteristics of the parts. Wheeljack should. Yeah, we all know what happens next. As you can see from my G1 comic from 1986. So we have a backwards and forth. Then they were able to build huge buildings, entire skylines using their combined form, unparalleled until now. It's no way combat. I'd say we did a good job here, given our limited resources and the limited low energon. They're also transmitting energon back from their little planetoid back to Cybertron. They're on the energon rations, so deliberately or as a side effect of overall policy, Tergamax is keeping them hungry, keeping them rationed, so they aren't able to function at full capacity again, as Long Haul points out. So that's the problem, and you have this incident here where they start throwing poles around and getting annoyed and frustrated at the lack of energon that they've been given. Sorry, move over. Hook, you have to be careful. Do you want to wind up in prison for killing someone here? We're right on the cusp of going home. They're already afraid of us, you know. And then we pull out to this point of view shot, and these last 3 frames here. Let's not give them an excuse to cut our energy on more. Who knows if the source code that the enigma of combination and printed on each of us is active anymore, even with enough energy on. Let's finish up. We've done everything they asked. And we cut to this character here, and I think I've got him down right. Violent, hungry. This group is perfect. And we just see this eye slit, the kind of old style knight kind of faceplate, and it's to be continued. That we see here in the preview for next week. For me, it's the 3 rings of the head-mounted launcher that give to it. I think this is actually Bombshell. Not sure, could be wrong. Quite happy to be stunned and be corrected. Feasting on some remnants of some poor unfortunate robot hiding in a cave. I think it's Bombshell, and I think he's going to somehow get the Constructicons to work together, provide them with energy on, enough energy to combine, train them, possibly implant cybernetic brain controls in their minds to help them pull together as a team. We'll see. I'll wrap up there. So there's a lot that happens and not much that actually gets done. We get a lot of backstory. 6 Constructicons are forged. Turgomax and Wheeljack have a little argument. It's not exactly the violent, action-packed stories that we had from the 80s, but still, hopefully, and I say this very optimistically, hopefully there'll be some action come out of it. There's the cover gallery, the one I have for this issue, the standard version. This is the special colour version by Nick Roche and Josh Burcham, same but different. Another one by George Katsoudas, and then I'm not sure if there's actually a cover or not, but this is by Casey Collar and Josh Burcham, again with the colours. And then there's some blurb at the back. I'll skip that. Reminder, Transformers issue 13 is coming out. The hunt is on. Well, it should have been since issue 1 if you ask me. This is how well paced this comic book is. And it's now monthly, so it's going to go really slow. They really are going to have to pick up the pace in the story. Otherwise, it's going to be Star Trek all the way for me. So that's the review on the back. As I mentioned, I will be reviewing Transformers 13. If it's got Chromia and Prowl actually in it, I should be delighted. If it's the continuation of the story with Sandstorm Prime, Nautilus, whatever her name was, I shall be really disappointed. But we'll see, and obviously my videos on that will be becoming less frequent. I shall be diversifying and finding other things to review. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, comment and subscribe and all the YouTube stuff. And I'll be back next time with some Star Trek, I promise. Until then, bye for now.